Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show and happy Halloween. I'm Trevor Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, joined by Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA. We each decided to celebrate Halloween in our own way. Obviously, we put a lot of thought into these costumes. We worked hard on them. I decided to just toss on my favorite Lakers jersey, which is the Black Mamba version of the Lakers jersey, my favorite city edition, although this year's looked pretty nice too, I will say. And Keith decided to become an elephant. What's the story behind that?
We went to a Halloween event as a family, and my daughter wanted us all to be a different animal. So at that Halloween event, I was an elephant. And I realized while you were starting the show, if I nod vociferously, the ears flap.
The ears wiggle.
Yeah. So that works out. Pretty good.
Added bonus. So for anybody who's listening to the podcast version of this, you are missing out. You're missing seeing me wear a basketball jersey. I know that's super exciting. And Keith has elephant ears that wiggle, which is certainly exciting. Now, I will say this. So whenever in my house, whenever somebody uses the term elephant, I can't help but throw in the term heffalump because of my days growing up with what was that, Dumbo, right? As a kid, heffalumps and woozles.
No, that's Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, you're right. That is Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, that's Winnie the Pooh.
That's right. That was such a trippy scene too.
Yeah.
Do you do the same thing? Yeah.
Yep.
You do the same stuff as I do?
Occasionally.
It's this generation.
Yeah. We'll throw that out there one time. There's this thing where they ask you like a series of questions, and then they're like, name a country, and you only answer them in your head. And it's like, name a country that starts with D, name an animal that starts with E. And then it's like, how many people are thinking of Denmark and elephants? And like, it's usually like 90+% of a room will raise their hand.
Wow.
So Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. I think we've sufficiently angered a portion of the audience that wants us to just get to basketball.
Well, before we get to the news, I have to tell you this.
Uh-oh.
So all of our titles today, you don't know this, but all of our titles today are Halloween themed.
Oh, I love it. Perfect.
So we're going to start with this one. Kawhi Leonard vanishes without a trace. Starting theme here, but Kawhi vanishes. He's becoming a ghost. I don't know what's going on here with Kawhi Leonard, but he's only played in one game so far this season. Two games so far this season. We'll give him credit for that. How concerned should the Clippers be right now that Kawhi has been barely there?
Yeah, I think fairly concerned. It's like when he missed one half of the two games in OKC. All right. Then he missed the other one. Okay, you didn't want him to travel, I guess, maybe. But then he missed the home game against the Pelicans yesterday. Now it's been a week in between games before he'll play again, or over a week before he'll play. So that is concerning to me. I think that is that's worrisome. If I was the Clippers, that we made it 2 games into like 2 out of 3 games he played, and then needed a week off like that. There's all be cautious, but then there's what's actually going on here. That's concerning to me.
Yeah, hopefully he's able to get back to full health. I mean, one of the top players in the NBA when he's healthy. But look, the Spurs have plenty of wing depth, but it's already being tested this season. That's not great. It's not great for my pick of who was going to come out of the West either.
Mine neither. Yeah, I know.
They're this beat up already, but nonetheless,
you were reverse jinxing it, so maybe it ends up okay for you.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be because anybody is hurt. You know what I mean? Good. Like that's never what I want to see. I don't care who they play for. I don't want to see guys that are injured or hurt or anything like that. Into a transaction, Bojan Bogdanovic, his devilishly good extension with the Detroit Pistons, 2-year deal, getting just over $19 million per. What are your thoughts on that? Are you surprised? I know there were a lot of people that were saying, well, maybe the Pistons will just flip Bogdanovic at the trade deadline and cash in on this asset. Instead, they're saying, nope, this is a guy that we want to keep long-term.
Yeah, and the nice thing for them is this doesn't take that option off the table. This extension was small enough in terms of what it was that they could trade him again. The second year, it has come out in the last couple of days here that second year is only $2 million guaranteed. So he'll be on the books for $20 million
Wow.
next season. Then 19, I think it's like almost 19 point something the year after. But then it is only 2 million guaranteed. So that's essentially an expiring at that point. So that leaves him very tradable. I think people have very much missed the boat on just how good Bojan Bogdanovic is. He can really shoot and score. He's a better passer and rebounder than he's gotten credit for, in a lot of his career. And he can hold his own defensively. He's not bad at all. But I think this is for the Pistons is, hey, we're not trying to be bad, right? We're trying to win. We're trying to put the right kind of players around Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, our other young guys. And I always say when you have young playmakers, you want somebody when they kick the ball out that's going to knock down shots. Because if you don't have that, they get reluctant to keep kicking the ball out. And that's when you get into bad habits and stuff. So great deal for the Pistons. I just ran that was kind of the impetus for me to run it. I just ran a new set of cap space projections, and they are still projected near the top in cap space. I've got them third in the league, $48 million in projected 2023 cap space. So still more than enough spending power to go get something done.
Solid chunk of change. And speaking of next season's free agency, that's another player coming off of the list of potential available free agents for teams to go sign. So for teams that are hoarding cap space, we said it over the summer that you can look ahead and you can say, oh, well, these players are all going to be free agents. It never really is all of those guys because of extensions and things that
definitely not
that take place.
Yep.
Let's get into actually this is a positive kind of fun story here. Boo, no more. Russell Westbrook.
I like this.
Cheered.
It's funny for me. Not the Westbrook thing, the headlines.
The Halloween theme. Yeah. Oh, just wait. There's more coming.
Love it.
Westbrook cheered by the LA crowd. It was really, I thought the first time that we've seen since Russ wound up with the Lakers, the LA crowd like fully accept and get behind Russell Westbrook. And that took it. He was playing well. And the Lakers lone win now against them, no longer winless against the Denver Nuggets. And the crowd really embraced him. In fact, it was bizarre, but there were cheers when he took a three instead of gasps, which we heard just a week ago. Cheers when he re-entered a game, which again was not the case. But it's cool to see that happen, particularly because he's had a tough time going through all of that, and there's been animosity between him and Lakers fans. It hasn't been good, and so to have that, and who knows what the future holds from here, but to have that one moment, it was just cool to see.
No, really was. 31 minutes. He played still plenty of overlap with LeBron and AD. Throughout the game, it wasn't a full like he came in when they were only out or those kind of things. But it kind of gave me a little bit of hope that maybe he can embrace this bench role in this career transition, because if he can come in and do even some of the stuff he's always done, where it's like come in like and play like he's been shot out of a cannon, it is like that's such a jolt, right? It's hard for other lineups to keep up with that. So that I think has a chance to maybe work. Almost had a triple double off the bench. He's really getting up and down the floor and doing some stuff. So I feel pretty good about the way this looked, at least for now, right? We'll see. Right. I mean, I don't want to go crazy. It was one game, but if he can find a way to make this work, I often have compared it to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose completely transitioned from I got to be the starter, I got to be a main fulcrum, to all right, I can come off the bench and still kind of always play my game. I'm just doing it off the bench, and this might be a way for Russ too to find 2, 3, 4 more productive years in the NBA that might not have been there otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know that he wants to come off the bench. No. I don't think anybody who's started for pretty much their entire career wants to then say, okay, I'm going to come off the bench now. But I think in terms of his longevity in the NBA, his ability to find success with this role is going to be pretty important here. He is a free agent this next summer. Sticking with the Lakers, is Myles Turner dying to join the Lakers?
It's one of my favorite dad jokes when you pass the cemetery. Why do they put the fence around the cemetery? Because people are just dying to get in.
Oh my gosh.
You know how many people are dead in the cemetery? All
No,
of
how
them.
many?
All
All
of them.
That's the stuff that you find like on a popsicle stick.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the best, man.
Those
My
are.
kid hates them. She hates those jokes.
That's your job as a parent is to
Yeah,
tell jokes
absolutely.
that your
Without a
kids
doubt.
hate.
I'm gonna
Mine
wear
still
the elephant hat to pick her up from school today, and she's not going to like it.
make a lot of noise, honk,
Oh yeah.
all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, you know?
I can
Sure.
make a pretty good elephant noise if you want to hear it.
Well, now we kind of have to.
Well, yeah. All right. Listen, I'm gonna give you all warning because this is probably gonna get kind of loud, but let's see if I can still do it. It's a pretty good elephant,
That
right?
was pretty good. I felt like I was just,
I
on the
think so.
Jungle Cruise at Disneyland or something
There
like
it is.
that. That
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
Can
Perfect.
you is there a way that you can get like a bullhorn or something and do that when you pick her up?
Maybe she would know. I have to balance it, right? Because you go too far, then it like makes the rest of my day miserable. And it's Halloween. I want her to enjoy. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. Myles Turner was on the Woj pod, and I thought it was interesting. Like Woj just directly asked him, "So, do you think you're worth two first round picks? Like,
Crazy.
should the Lakers do that deal?" I'm like, I can't recall at any point whether a player was asked about their own trade value the way that occurred. But I actually thought he did a really good job analyzing his own value, mentioning that he's on an expiring contract and what he can bring to the table. And of course, he wouldn't say, "Oh, yes, the Lakers should do this deal," or "No, they shouldn't." It sounded like he wouldn't be too upset if they did. Talked about the benefits of playing in LA and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But nonetheless, I thought it was just fascinating that Woj just fired that right off the bat. Adam, do you think you're worth two first round picks? I didn't use those exact words, but still. And Myles Turner handled the situation very well.
Yeah, I thought he did too. And I have no problem with him being very honest, right? He
Yeah.
knows he's been, if not on the trade block, he's been in trade rumors for several years running now. So I have no issue at all with what he did. So I applaud his honesty in answering that. I've seen a bunch of people be like, "Is this tampering?" And it's like, can you tamper with a team? Like teams tamper with players, like we know that happens,
Mhm.
but can a player tamper with a team like
I
that?
had people asking me
Yeah,
that. I'm like,
yeah,
that's
I-
normally not the way we see this.
yeah. And it's not like he came out at any point and said like right, the AD stuff hit a little bit of the borderline
Mhm.
when it was like very much teams were being let know like, hey, you trade for him the minute he's a free agent, he's signing with the Lakers. So,
Right.
be cautious. This wasn't that. He was just like, yeah, they probably should think about doing it. Like it was kind of funny and weird, just a weird situation all around. I've never seen that before. I've
Yeah.
never, anything like that. But hey, I guess it made for some content, and we'll see. I don't think by any means this changes the Lakers' minds. I don't think they're like, oh, now we have to give up both picks.
No.
But it's but my guess is they have a pretty good understanding of if Myles Turner is going to resign and stay there.
Mhm.
If
And
they
what it would
trade for
cost to
him,
do so.
exactly. So that's not going to be a thing. But yeah, kind of interesting nonetheless.
I also thought, we talk fairly often about how around the trade deadline and during free agency and stuff, how if we were an NBA player, we would just tweet out like eyeball emojis or something like that just to mess with people. And some players do. But Turner gave a story about how they were watching the other night when Buddy Hield and himself had really big games for the Pacers and the Lakers lost. He was sitting with Buddy Hield after the game,
Yeah.
watching all of the comments blow up on Twitter because his name was trending and Hield's name was trending from all the Lakers fans saying, "Trade for these guys, get the deal done," all that. And so they're just sitting there scrolling through Twitter, just like everybody else is, as all this is going down, watching everybody talk about them. I thought that was kind of fun.
It was very funny too. I did see a couple people this morning were like, "Hey, Westbrook had a big game. Do you think that changes the Pacers' mind at all?" And it's like, no, they're not. They would not be acquiring Russell Westbrook, the basketball player. It would
Right.
just be the contract to get the 2 first-round picks and whatever else they could get and move on. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, that's not the thing. Like it's, I mean, yeah, if he started all of a sudden ripping off, 25, 10, and 10 every night on good efficiency. But at that point, then the Lakers are like, nope, we're very happy with what we have. We're not going to move him. But yeah,
Right.
I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yep. All right. This one, like, I felt a little bit weird about even turning this into a Halloween pun, but Josh Primo's Spurs tenure is put to rest. Um, Obviously not a great situation there. We were all
Yeah.
shocked when the news came out over the weekend. In fact, you even texted me and said, "Hey, we may need to do a show on this depending on what comes out." The Spurs waiving Josh Primo, who's their draft pick from just last year, so 2 summers ago. This is not something that typically occurs in the NBA, and then
No.
we've heard Josh Primo kind of got ahead of it a little bit by putting out there that he was working on his mental health, but then some other details have um, added to that it has put Josh Primo in a negative light. I don't story about him potentially exposing himself to people in the Spurs staff, and I mean,
Mhm.
not good,
And not just
not good.
one person. It sounds like it's been one
Correct.
person would be bad enough, but multiple people. It sounds like Josh Primo's got some issues, right? That he's
Yeah.
gotta work through. And I appreciate his statement, but right, like you gotta like I get it, and it sounds like you're trying to get the help you need, and I hope you do. But yeah, man, like that's like you can't do that. Like
No.
it's not, as I had a, someone say to me, or a few people said versions of, if this was 10 years ago and it was some guy who was in his late 30s, it would still not be acceptable, but it'd be like, those, people were different then. Like he's 20, he knows you don't do stuff like
Mhm.
this. And I know he said his past trauma has, something in his past trauma,
Right.
caused this, and I don't know what that is, and we'll find out. But yeah, I know there's a lot of conflicting stuff out there. He did clear waivers yesterday,
Yeah.
so he is now a free agent. No, obviously, no
Nobody
team
was going to pick
claimed
him up.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, with it was a weird situation though, because it was hours later that stuff started to kind of bubble out of, hey, I kind of heard this, and there was a weird report. Somebody was like he was involved in a murder, and that was like quickly that was shot down, where people were like, that's not, that wasn't it. But it was very clear pretty early on this was nothing to do with basketball, because the Spurs did waive Luka Samanic a couple years ago, and that was very much a basketball thing. But that was like, all right, this guy's not, he's never going to cut it here. He's not going to make it here.
Mhm.
We need the roster spot, move on. This was not that. We're a week and a half into the season and they're waving him. But yeah, very odd situation all around. My guess is we won't hear from Josh Primo for a while
Yeah.
at
I mean,
least.
it was interesting the way it came out too, because at first everybody was shocked and everybody kind of braced themselves for, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. Whatever it is that he did must be
Yeah.
terrible for the Spurs to waive him. This doesn't happen typically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then his statement came out, and it was, "I'm working on my mental health, and it's
Yep.
due to past trauma and all that." And people went, "Oh, okay." There was like this immediate sympathy and everything, and then more details came out, and that kind of knocked this right back down to, "Oh my gosh, yeah, this really is something terrible."
Yep.
So
And you know what? Kudos to the Spurs for basically saying, nope, not going to happen here. We're
yeah,
done. Now, yeah, he's still going to get paid. Maybe the Spurs, we'll see. You got to let a lot of the ways these things work as far as contracts go and the CBA and all that is you got to let some of the legal process play out first. I know people don't always like that part of it, right? But that is, often the way these things work. You got to let that play out, and
hmm
then you can get then they can go after recouping money. um you know if it all happens quick enough, which it's legal process, so it probably won't, they could go in and get something done where it's, hey, let's get try to get the money off the cap sheet and those kind of
hmm
things. But my guess is the Spurs are like, hey, $4 million over the next couple of years, each season. We're moving on. It is
yeah.
what it is.
Could his contract could be voided?
It,
Right?
it, it could be, but it's going to take a while because
It's
it's
not
not.
a
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not something that's going to happen like within the next few months or anything like that. It's going to take a little bit.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's chat a bit about a player that you've been getting to see a lot of. I've been really excited about. I think he's performed fantastic for the Orlando Magic. Paulo Banchero, and he is deadly serious about playing for Italy.
Yeah.
That's the team he's going to play for internationally and get experience there. Um, the this his game fits the international game very well.
Mhm.
And he's been fitting the Magic very well. Not to say the Magic are winning a ton of games or anything like that, but that's okay. He's exciting, and I was talking about this recently. Um, there was a poll that went out about the best run organizations, and the Magic wound up on the bottom of that. And I went, why? Like, there's more excitement and enthusiasm in Orlando. Like, the future's looking
Sure.
bright right now. Winning, if it's being based on winning games, that's not what they're trying to do right now. I'm actually really excited for them, and I think Banchero looks fantastic. He's still my pick for rookie of the year.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably a holistic view, right? It
Yeah,
hasn't always been great here in Orlando. There's been a lot of bumpy periods. They went through a rough point post Shaq, and then
sure.
post McGrady and Hill, and then post Dwight. But a lot of franchises go through rough patches. But yeah, right now future is super bright, even though they're not winning games. But I mean, part of that is they literally have like no healthy guards on the roster right now.
Yeah,
They last two games they started Wendell Carter, Paulo Banchero, Bol, Terrence Ross, and Franz Wagner. So the shortest guy in that group is the 6'7" midget Terrence Ross by comparison to those giants, right? So it's like, just a monster, lineup out there. But yeah, with Banchero, this Italy story, the first place I saw this was a couple weeks ago, leading up to
mm,
opening night. Mark Stein had it. He had talked to him, and they talked about it there. And then on RJ Hampton does a show. I think it's called Young People or Young Person Podcasts or something
mm,
like that. RJ Hampton asked him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to play for Italy." And he talked about how Italy has been pushing for him to play since he was 16. And then they worked through Italian embassy. They got him an Italian passport, and he does have Italian roots, and that in I believe he said it's his father's side of the family. So he's going to play for Italy. So more power to him. I don't I'm seeing some pushback online where people like you gotta if you're an American you gotta play for the U.S. But he's good enough. I think he could definitely make a I was going to call it dream team, but U.S. national team.
mhm.
Um, just I mean, but you're going to be in the mix with 100 other guys
Yeah.
to do that. On Italy, like he's going to walk in and instantly be on the roster.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's he's gonna get more experience that way as well, and that's something that can be, important for him and his ultimate development. So, I'm not gonna fault him for it too much. I know, look, we're looking around the NBA right now, and you're seeing so many international stars that are starting to really become the faces of the league when you look at Giannis and Luka and Jokic and on and on. And so there is kind of this push, like there's a little bit of concern, like, hey, we need some American stars. I mean, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is Canadian, and I mean, but I can't fault Paulo for getting into a
Mhm.
situation where he can go step in and play right away. Who knows how long he would have to be in the Team USA system before he
Sure.
get meaningful minutes, if ever. I mean, you never know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I don't think he's I've seen some people, oh, he doesn't want to work, he's ducking it and those kind of things. Like that's all silly. Like it's we see every year, especially like the World Cup
Mhm.
cycles, a lot of guys don't want to play. So I'm sure if he was like, hey, I'd like to play, I mean, they'd be like, great, happy to have you. At least we'll throw you in the player pool and go. But yeah, good for him for saying, hey, I'd rather go there and star for them
Mhm.
potentially.
Absolutely. All right, last one. Teams are scared off on options. A number of young players here who did not get their options picked up. What's going on here? What happens with these guys now? What's the situation that they're in? We saw most options got picked up.
Yep.
Some no brainers from like the Warriors and some
Sure.
other clubs just
LaMelo
picked up.
Ball. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I
Kate
mean just
Cunningham.
easy decisions. But what happens with the guys who did not get their options picked up?
Yeah. So what happens for the first round picks on the rookie scale deals? The way their contract is structured is guaranteed year for years 1 and 2. Then a team option year 3, team option year 4. Those options need to be picked up roughly a year in advance. October 31st is the deadline for those to be picked up. So what teams do is teams come in and teams basically say, all right, we're going to get those, picked up. Today is the deadline. We've now had reporting on all of them. It's roughly 60 decisions that need to be made because it's 2 draft classes worth of players because it's those year 3 and year 4 options. Mm-hmm. Last year, Jalen Smith had his 3rd year contract option decline, so he was not a part of this group because that had already happened. So he was with the Pacers. We already talked about what happened with Josh Primo. Why this is also known as how serious this was with Primo was it happened only 10 days or so after he had his option already picked up.
Right.
So that was another thing. Now, RJ Hampton of the Orlando Magic, Udoka Azubuike of the Utah Jazz, Leandro Balmaro of the Utah Jazz. They are all not going to have their options picked up. There's been very credible reporting from a bunch of different reporters that cover those teams. I think it was Kobe Price had it first for the Magic side. He works for the Orlando Sentinel. And I saw it first from Tony Jones of The Athletic about the Jazz guys. So what happens is teams are now, whether it's the Magic and the Jazz, or if a team trades for one of these players, you are capped at paying them a first-year salary that is equal to the amount of their declined option. Mm-hmm. You can't decline the option to get around, all right, now we're going to pay them, the rookie a max deal or whatever, or we're going to bump it way up or anything like that. You're capped. So for each of these guys, for Hampton, that works out to $4.2 million. For Azubuike, $3.9 million. For Balmaro, $2.6 million. That counts the same if a team trades for one of them. That's what happened with Jalen Smith. The Suns declined his option at the trade deadline. The Pacers traded for Jalen Smith. The Pacers were capped at paying Jalen Smith a first-year salary equal to the amount of his declined option. So that's what happens here. More often than not, these guys move on. Every once in a while, a player pops after. Kevon Looney, good example. Mm-hmm. The Warriors declined his option, and then the Warriors ended up signing him to a long-term contract. Just again, that first-year salary starting at the lower number. So, or not at a lower number, but at the option amount there. So that's where this is at with these 3 guys. Everybody else. So in the draft class, so then these 3 and Jalen Smith in those 2 draft classes had all their option years picked up. So 3rd and 4th year options, not bad. 4 guys total out of 2 draft classes, not the end of the world. That's pretty good. It's about in range of where we're usually at.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with these guys. Maybe they're able to play their way back into favor with their teams or catch the attention of somebody else. We'll see there. They'll have the opportunity to do that. But just like you said, fairly rare that these options aren't picked up. Usually there's reason for it. Sometimes teams wind up regretting it, which may be happening with Smith at Indiana. So we'll see.
And you know what? These guys. Maybe they'll be so upset that they won't want to come back because an elephant never forgets.
Oh, I like it.
That's good stuff, huh?
Got to throw in the
happen, baby.
I can't think of any better way to end the show. So let's go with that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. I hope everyone has a very happy Halloween, a safe Halloween. Eat some candy. Oh, no, Keith, what's your favorite candy? Best Halloween candy is?
The Reese's Pumpkins.
Oh, my gosh. I literally have those in my fridge right now. Those are so fantastic.
Good. Yeah, and you're doing it the right way. You gotta put them in the fridge.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, eat them cold.
Yep. Those are in my fridge right now, and I should have known that we would agree on favorite Halloween.
How do you eat them? Do you just bite right in?
We bite right in. I start from one end and work to the other. If that's what you mean.
So I eat around the edge, and then I break it in half and pop it in my mouth and kind of let it melt a little bit.
Okay, I go across almost like it's a Subway sandwich or something. Okay, lengthwise. That's how I go.
Yeah,
that's my strategy.
Reese's Pumpkins are so good, man.
They are.
The pumpkins and the eggs at Easter.
Eggs. Yep.
And I've had people tell me it's because of the ratio to chocolate to peanut butter is there's so much peanut butter in there. So
is there a Christmas version? There has to be, right?
Trees. Yeah, they
trees.
Do trees.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
The trees are good too, but for some reason, I think the pumpkins they hit different.
Yeah, pumpkins and the eggs. Those are the 2 best ones for sure, without a doubt. Yep. Hey, drop your favorite candy in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah,
what your favorite candy is, and let us know what you're dressing up as for Halloween too.
Yeah.
What you did dress up as if you're listening or watching later. We're
That's right.
happy to know.
Let us know. Give us your thought in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Turn on those notifications, hit that notification bell, and of course, give us that 5-star rating and review over on Apple Podcasts. Happy Halloween, everybody. See ya and stay safe.